In today's video, I'm going to be looking at video comparisons between the DJI Air 3S and the DJI Air 3. So if you're an average consumer and you're wondering, is it worth upgrading to a 1-inch sensor on the Air 3S if you already have an Air 3? That's just what this video is aimed for. Or it could be for someone who already has maybe a Mini 3 or Mini 4, maybe an Air 2S, and you're wondering, is the quality better on the Air 3S now compared to the Air 3? So I'm gonna let you know some of the features with the DJI Air 3S. We're going to cover some of the similarities and differences between these drones because there are some that you might want to note. And then we're going to look at some video comparisons. And to be honest, I literally just been going through the footage not long ago before I'm filming this video, and I have seen some stuff. So stay tuned and wait to the end as well. Before we begin, I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who has watched, liked, commented, and subscribed to the channel. We've hit 5K. Amazing. Now on to the next milestone. I'm going to try and double this to 10K, but much appreciated for your support. Let me know in the comments what you think of this video and what you would like to see in future videos. Now let's get into the video. So what are the main features of the DJI Air 3S is that the 24mm here is now a 1-inch sensor, meaning that the pixels are slightly bigger. They're 3.2 micrometers bigger compared to the DJI Air 3, which are only 2.4. The aperture is actually 1.8 on the DJI Air 3S, and it's 1.7 on the DJI Air 3. However, I think that having the larger sensor will compensate for the slightly smaller aperture size. Also, the bigger pixels means it's going to be more light let in. I think this drone will actually shine in low light, and I will be making a video of that in future, so make sure you subscribe for that one. The other thing to note here is that the DJI Air 3S has 14 stops of dynamic range, and this is achievable on video mode on auto, but it's not available for vertical or slow motion. Now, I believe the Air 3 only has 12 stops of dynamic range. I think I saw this on DJI's website before they removed it. It just says the high dynamic range, but they've said that this has 14 stops now when you're using auto mode. Now, the only similarities between these two is that they both shoot 4K 60, which is great, and I think that is plenty. If you're someone who flies quite high up, you probably won't even need this. You're just going to end up taking up more storage on your hard drives or on your SD card. Shooting at 4K 30 when you're flying high up will be sufficient. You'd only need this if you plan on slowing down your footage by 50% if you're shooting like high action shots. Now, the differences between these two drones, first of all, the Air 3S can shoot at now 4K 120. The Air 3 is only at 4K 100. At 1080p, you get 240 frames per second versus the 200 on the Air 3. I will explain a little bit more about these in a minute. The bitrate has actually dropped on the Air 3S to 130 megabits per second versus the 150 on the Air 3. And I actually have a file size comparison chart just like I did in last week's video for video. So hang on and I'll show you about that in a minute. The other thing is normal mode, when you film in normal mode, it's at 8-bit. Whereas in the Air 3S, normal mode is now 10-bit color. So you're getting more colors with the Air 3S. So that's something that I haven't seen mentioned yet when comparing these two drones. Now, this is minor here, but the zoom is to 2.9 versus 1 to 3 on this, but that's not going to make a huge difference. And the focal distance on the Air 3S is 0.5 meters, whereas on the Air 3 it's actually 1 meter. The field of view is also slightly wider by 2 degrees. This is now 84 degrees, whereas the Air 3 is 82. And then the other notable thing here is that the ISO values have all doubled on the Air 3S. So on normal mode, it now goes up to 12,800. DLOG-M and HLG is now 3,200. Compared to the Air 3, this was 6,400 for normal and 1,600 for HLG and DLOG-M respectively. So you get slightly more ISO values with the Air 3S. Now let's move on to testing and looking at the differences between these two drones. Now, having played back the footage, I did use waypoints for this, so the flight path would be exactly the same between the two drones. So that meant I had to relink the Air 3 to my new DJI RC2. I'll explain some of the complications that I'm having with this in a future video. But anyway, both drones were flown with the same waypoints. However, because I went towards sunset, I was losing light quite fast. It is winter now, or getting there. When I flew the Air 3S first, by the time I got round to flying the DJI Air 3, there was a lot of light lost. So the differences that you're gonna see here is that the Air 3 might have a darker image because there's not enough light. That being said, I did do a round 2 so I can get equal light for both of them. And I can notice slight clarity difference with the Air 3S. The image seems to be a lot cleaner. And these were hazy days. For some reason, the Air 3S is just showing much better definition in that and less haze compared to the Air 3. Now note here, when I was doing the testing for the first round, I was using an ND32 for the Air 3S. And then obviously as light was getting less, it was an ND8 for the Air 3, but this was still plenty enough and they were pretty much on par. Round 2, I was using an ND128 on the DJI Air 3S and an ND64 for the Air 3 because that's the highest one I had. Again, there wasn't much difference here because they were pretty much the same and all recordings were in auto. I even compared this with the 70mm and you can definitely notice a difference in clarity with the Air 3S. So because DJI have said that they have made some enhancements to the image processing unit on the Air 3S compared to the Air 3, I can visibly see a difference here with the 70mm, which is crazy because this is already a good drone, so they've made improvements somehow. What I will do is I'll put some sample footage just like I did last week. I'll put it onto Google Drive so you can go download them and check them out for yourself. Now when going through this footage, I did compare normal, HLG and DLOG-M. Normal was, well, if you want to have really quick footage to share and you don't have to do any post-processing. However, I prefer to shoot in DLOG-M. It's a flat color profile. However, you can use DJI's conversion LUT, which is downloadable for free on their website. However, if you want to take this a little bit step further, I've actually got a set of DLOG-M LUTs that I have been using and I've used in the past, and they are available on my website. A lot of people have downloaded these and they've really enjoyed them. So I've got 2 packs of 4, or there's the whole beginner pack of 8, and you can have all these LUTs. I am working on some more for future, but for now, these LUTs work wonders. And it saves you a bunch of time in post-processing. So when you double tap on these, you don't have to do any conversion LUTs. You literally just add this LUT, everything's taken care of for you. If you want to learn more about that, check the video up here and you can see how I color grade in DaVinci Resolve. Now, the one thing I want to note here is I can see a difference with HLG format on both of these drones. Now, when looking at the footage, it seems as if the HLG file is better on the Air 3S. And I wasn't so sure why, because they're both 10-bit. And I've even tried using a color transform node and a LUT as well to see if there's any differences. I think I've had better results with using the Filmic Pro LUT, which is free on their website. Again, I'll put a link in the description box down below for you to download these. And this is a simple double tap. So if you prefer filming in HLG, yeah, it's not my favorite to work with. Even with the color transform, it was very difficult to find which was the correct one. And this was the closest I could get to. I still think the Filmic Pro LUT does a better job, but it might not be the most suited. And DJI don't actually have anything that I have seen to convert HLG footage. That's if you film with HLG. Preferably, I would either use normal if you want to save yourself some time, or just use DLOG-M, and that's how I've been filming most of my footage. All my videos that you've seen in the past, if you've been a subscriber or watched my videos, I've actually shot in DLOG-M, and I use my LUTs because it saves me a ton of time now when I'm editing these videos for you. Before we move on to file size comparison, I just want to touch on slow motion as well with the DJI Air 3S. Now, if you shoot at 4K 60, you can actually slow this down in post by slowing this by 50%, and you can get slow motion footage. This is something that I would recommend. Or you could use the slow motion function within the drone. Now, note here, you don't need to do any post-processing. The footage is already slowed down. Now, filming at 4K 120 is great. This is something that I did at the Cypress Rally, and I'll put a link to that video down below because it was a fun one. And if you want to see more about slow motion, there's a video I covered on the Sony a6700 as well. In this example, I just filmed the highway because this is the fastest moving objects I can find on that day. And 4K 120 looks great. Now, if we move on to 1080p, if you wanted to slow this even further, you can have 1080p at 200 frames per second. However, the quality is noticeably worse. It is not that good at all. So if you wanted really slow motion, you just have to deal with 1080p, which doesn't look great. I'd probably stick to 4K 120 or video mode 4K 60. That way you can still have normal video, do better speed ramping, and you can slow it down in post. Now let's move on to the file size comparison. Now, DJI have claimed on their website that with this new imaging processing unit, you're able to save up to 30% in file size, which is fantastic. And a lot of people have complained that, oh no, the bitrate, it's gone down from 150 on the Air 3 to 130 on this, like boo-hoo. I think they've done this to help us save space and we're not losing quality, as you've seen in this video already. Now, I'm gonna pop these up on screen now, and I did do a comparison for normal, HLG, and DLOG-M. Now, the 30% decrease or space saving you're gonna get is only in normal mode. And this is even crazier, the fact that normal mode is now 10-bit, not 8-bit compared to the Air 3. So you're getting over 30% space saving with the DJI Air 3S. When you're filming in HLG and DLOG-M, you're getting around 12 to 13% space saving, which is still great. I'll take that any day. And if we look at the 70mm, again, we're getting over 30% space saving with the DJI Air 3S compared to the Air 3. And it's even filming in 10-bit color as well. Again, HLG and DLOG-M, you're getting about 14 to 15% space saving, which again, I will take. So again, I'll put these in my community posts. Feel free to use them as you wish. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below, whether you already have a DJI Air 3 or a Mini 3 or 4 Pro, or an older generation Air 2S, and you're wondering whether you should upgrade to the Air 3S here. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe you want to check out this video next.